So, one of the best horror movies of 2024 has finally arrived digitally, and go check the film out. It certainly carries a fascinating storyline but does not reflect it simplistically. With a twisted storytelling and an interesting direction, it creates a fearful experience. Let's have a recap of what all this is. Here is Harker, an FBI agent who, along with a fellow agent, heads to a quiet neighborhood to locate an armed suspect. Unlike her partner, she isn't easy about the atmosphere. She glances at a house and confidently asserts that the suspect is inside. Her partner dismisses her assertion, thinking it too obvious, but decides to investigate the house anyway. He knocks on the door and waits a few seconds. Someone comes out and shoots him in the head. Harker is filled with panic. She rushes inside and finds the suspect calmly sitting on the bed. This moment reveals a significant aspect of Harker's character. She possesses supernatural or spiritual abilities that allow her to foresee the truth. And so, the real case of the film begins. The investigation into the Longlegs serial killer. In a car, Harker is sitting with her superiors, Agent Carter and Agent Brown. Carter introduces her to the chilling story of the Longlegs. He points to a house, explaining that a family lived there for 12 years before the father tragically stabbed his wife and children before taking his own life. The case could have ended there, but they found a letter. It was written in a coded alphabet that didn't match any of the family's handwriting. This same scenario had occurred with 10 different families over the past 30 years, each receiving a similar letter with the same handwriting. All of them were signed with the name Longlegs. Back at the office, Carter provides Harker with more details about the case, hoping her extraordinary intuition will reveal something new. She asks Carter what all the families had in common. He tells her that each family had daughters born on the 14th of some month. Harker delves deep into the evidence and case files, feeling an overwhelming sense of dread as she connects the dots. Carter finds her asleep, surrounded by photographs. He wakes her up and takes her to a pub to discuss the case further. Harker points out that there were no signs of forced entry into the homes and that all the victims were killed with weapons found inside the houses. It seems Longlegs had been there, but not physically. That's quite eerie. They should skip the case. She also suspects that Longlegs isn't acting alone but has accomplices. It's late, and with Carter drunk, Harker drives him home to meet his wife and daughter. Harker briefly talks to Carter's daughter about some personal matters before her mother interrupts, and Harker heads home. Before leaving, the little girl invites Harker to her upcoming birthday. Harker lives in a secluded cabin in the woods, a setting that only adds to the tension. At her doorway, she senses a presence and pauses, but everything around her seems empty. She enters her study and calls her mother, but she's reluctant to share her troubles. We also learn that her birthday is fast approaching. Harker is visibly anxious, more so than just because of the case. She doesn't say much, and after hanging up, she hears a knock at the door. She finds nothing and locks the door, but when she looks out the window, the scene is even more unsettling. She rushes outside with her gun, terrified. But whoever was there is no longer outside, they're inside. Harker re-enters, finding no one, but there is a letter addressed to her with the note, "Do not open until January 14th. Harker opens the letter to find a birthday card marked with the number 9, signifying her 9th birthday. The card contains a message in coded language, which Harker deciphers using the Bible. It turns out to be a series of strange, ominous threats. Harker receives a call from the office about another family that has been murdered. The bodies haven't been discovered for about a month, and they're in a horrific state. At her office, Harker calls her mother, telling her she'll be busy for the next few days. Her mother asks if she'll be around for her birthday, to which she vaguely responds. At the office, Harker dives deeper into the codes, discovering an algorithm. She presents her findings to Carter, who, not being as sharp as Harker, struggles to grasp the significance. Harker simplifies it for him. She has uncovered details about the murder of a previous family, the Camera family, mentioned in the letters. In that case, the father killed a priest and his wife, but their daughter, Carrie Ann, survived because she was at school at the time. Since then, Carrie Ann has been in a mental institution. Harker's decoding also indicates that Longlegs may strike again in 3 days. Carter decides to visit the farm with Harker. At the farm, they find X marks, which lead them to a cross in the attic. Digging deeper, they discover a doll. The forensic team reveals that the doll is intricately crafted, with a metal ball inside its head functioning as its brain. The doll is hollow, but when touched, it emits a strange sound, triggering disturbing flashbacks for Harker of her childhood and a creepy man. This man is Longlegs, who, as it turns out, is wandering around town, buying groceries from the market. Next, Carter and Harker visit Carrie Ann. They are surprised to learn that someone else visited her the previous day, signing the register with Harker's name. Harker speaks with Carrie Ann, who claims to have met Harker before and even visited her house. Harker dismisses this and asks about the man who visited the day before. Carrie Ann describes him as divine, someone she would follow to any extreme, even kill Harker if he asked her to. The conversation's eerie tone unsettles Harker, prompting her to leave. Back at the office, Carter is confused about the direction the case is taking. He even becomes suspicious of Harker, wondering how Longlegs knows her name. Harker is just as puzzled. Carter reminds her that the case only gained momentum after she became involved. He asks Harker about her mother, which makes her uncomfortable. Carter reveals that he checked into Harker's background and discovered that the day before her 9th birthday, her mother called the police about a suspicious man. He urges Harker to visit her mother to inquire about it. Harker decides to visit her mother. We finally meet her, and she doesn't seem as well as she sounded on the phone. Harker asks her mother what happened on her 9th birthday, but her mother refuses to discuss it. After some prodding, she directs Harker to some belongings in her room. There, Harker finds a photo of the man her mother reported to the police. It's Longlegs. Now that Longlegs has been identified, he's apprehended in the middle of the road and taken into custody, where he does little more than wish Harker a happy birthday. With the Bureau's eyes now on Harker, she feels the pressure to act. She believes the case isn't over and that there's still another accomplice out there. She confronts Longlegs in custody, but he speaks in cryptic terms about another person, never clearly identifying them. Then, he suddenly begins banging his head against the table repeatedly until he crushes his skull, killing himself. But the real horror is yet to unfold. Carter is deeply unsettled, and Harker, accompanied by Agent Brown, visits her mother again. Harker enters the house but can't find her mother. Apparently, she's occupied with something else. A gunshot startles Harker, and she rushes to the window to see her mother taking another shot at Agent Brown. Harker dashes outside, pointing her gun at her mother, who is aiming a shotgun at a doll. None of it makes sense to Harker. Her mother speaks of Longlegs and expresses relief that they're all free. Then, she shoots the doll's head, causing something to spark in Harker's mind, and she collapses. Now, we enter a flashback where the full explanation is finally revealed. Let's find out. Harker and her mother had always lived alone, with no visitors, until her 9th birthday. Longlegs arrived as a church member bearing a gift, a doll he had crafted with a piece of himself inside, allowing him to possess whoever owned it. And it did possess Harker, but in her case, Longlegs didn't want to kill her, he wanted her for himself. However, her mother begged for Harker's life, offering to carry out the killings on his behalf. She would help him by delivering the dolls to families, which would possess them and lead to their deaths. She did all of this to protect her daughter. Back in the present, Harker awakens in her bed to an empty house and a ringing phone. On the other end, Longlegs reminds her that she's late for Ms. Ruby's birthday party. Ms. Ruby is Carter's daughter. Harker races to Carter's house. They open the door, appearing fine, but in reality, they're not. Harker finds her mother there, and the doll has already been delivered. They are all possessed, and Harker is powerless to stop it. Eventually, Carter takes his wife into the kitchen and kills her. He returns to kill his daughter as well, but Harker shoots him. Her mother then pulls a knife from her bag and charges, forcing Harker to shoot her too. Harker is now left with the little girl, still aiming at her mother, as the film concludes. So, overall Longlegs has a great story, there is no doubt about that. The problem of this film lies in the performance of Nicolas Cage and the entire character of Longlegs. The makeup is terrible, Cage's performance is as bad as that, and the writing for him is equally poor. While the outstanding performance of Micah Monroe and great cinematography try to get the film going there, the titular character always puts water on the fire. If it weren't for the terrible treatment of the one main character to pretentiously make it like the Joker, the film would have reached some other level of experience. So, that's that. There goes the revisit and the explanation of the 2024 movie Longlegs. Thanks for watching, and check some other videos out of this channel also.